Okay, so it's pretty easy to see why you would want to make a number into a percent. But why would you want to make a percent into a number? The answer is that making a percent into a number is going to help us solve problems related to percents. How? Well, let's suppose we wanted to find out what is 7% of 12. Well, we already know one method for doing this that's based on just what the percent means. Previously, we had said that the portion over the base equals the percentage over 100. So let's see, 7% is the percentage, of course. 7% of what? Of 12. Percent of 12 tells us that 12 is the base. And then the portion must be what we're looking for. Now we cross multiply. X times 100 equals 12 times 7. Let's see. Seven times 2 is 14. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8. X times 100 is 84. X is the missing thing in a multiplication problem. That is, X is 84 divided by 100. Thinking in terms of decimals, this is going to be 84 100ths, 2 zeros in the denominator, 0.84. 7% of 12 is 0.84. Now you may have noticed in the earlier video where we used this technique that this process gets really, really repetitive. There's a lot of multiplying or dividing by 100 involved in this process. How could we shortcut this if we made 7% into a number? Well, remember, 7%, right? That's 7 hundredths. That's 2 zeros in the denominator, therefore 2 digits after the decimal point, 0.07. That is, 7 over 100 is 0.07 over 1. Replacing that in this proportion, x over 12 is staying the same. Instead of 7 over 100, I'm going to write 0.07 over 1. And this is always going to happen this way. I'm going to always end up with over 1 if I've written my percent as a number. And that means that when we cross multiply, we're going to be multiplying x times 1. And here we'll have 12 times 0.07. Now, 12 times 0.07, that's 12 times 7, which we discovered earlier was 84. 1, 2 digits after the decimal point. And of course we get the same answer. X is 0.84. But this presents us with a shortcut. We know that percentage over 100 can be rewritten as some number over 1, and that's still equal to portion over base. Cross-multiplying, we see that if we write the percentage as a number and multiply it by the base, that's equal to 1 times the portion. So that's just equal to the portion. And this equation, portion equals this number that is our percent expressed as a number, times the base. Now, this probably looks familiar. This is very much like what we did with the unit rates, right? If we can write one of our ratios with denominator 1, the cross multiplication gets simpler, and we can shortcut it with an equation of this kind. We will call this the percent equation, and we will use it as a shortcut to solve problems involving percent. Let me give you a couple more examples, and then I'll have you try one. Let's say we wanted to find 12.5% of 42. Right, notice 12.5%, if we'd like to write that as a number, that's 12.5 100ths. Let's see, that's 12.5 times 1 over 100. I'm going to need to make 12.5 into an improper fraction. 12 times 2 is, let's see, 4, 2, 24. 24 plus 1 is 25. So this is going to be 25 over 2 times 1 over 100. That'll be 25 over 2 times 100. Vending machine math tells me that 100 is 25 times 4. So I'm left with, I've canceled everything in the numerator, so just a 1 is left. 2 times 4 is 8. So I've discovered that 12.5% is 1/8. Now 42, it's percent of 42, so 42 is the base. And the portion is what we want to know. So we write our percent equation. The portion, we'll call it x, equals the percent expressed as a number times the base. Okay, so this is just a matter of arithmetic. 1/8 times 42, that's 1/8 times 42 over 1. 1 times 42 over 8 times 1. Let's see, I think these guys have a 2 in common, right? 2 into 42. 2 goes into 4 twice. 2 goes into 2 once. Yes. So 21/4. Let's make that into a mixed number. 4 goes into 21 5 times, with 1 left over. So this is 5 1/4. Okay, so this is super easy when what we're looking for is the portion. What about when we're looking for something else? 8 is 16% of what number? So again, our first move is going to be to write 16% as a number. 16%, that means 16 out of 100. Now before I wrote my number as a fraction because that seemed most convenient, here I think writing as a decimal is going to be most convenient because 2 zeros in the denominator, that means 2 digits after the decimal point. We can write our percent as a number in whatever way is most convenient for the specific problem. Now let's see. Here, percent of what number? The base is what I'm looking for. 8 must be the portion. Again, I'm going to write my percent equation. The portion equals the percent written as a number times the base. Okay, this is a little trickier. But again, x is the missing thing in a multiplication problem. X is 8 divided by 0.16. Okay, in order to do this division, we need to make this into a whole number. We'll need to multiply by 100. If I'm going to multiply 0.16 by 100, I'd better multiply 8 by 100 either. I'd better multiply 8 by 100 as well. So the division problem that I will actually do is 16 into 800. So let's see. 16 goes into 8? No. Into 80 something. Maybe 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. 5, 8. Oh, okay, yeah. And now notice I have another 0 left here. 16 goes into 0 times. My x is 50. So the answer to my question then, 8 is 16% of 50. Let's see one more where we're looking for the percentage. Let's say we want to find out 17 is what percent of 25. Notice, here we are not given the percentage. That's what we're asked for. But let's see. Percent of 25, that phrasing means that 25 is the base. And 17 then will be the portion. So setting up our percent equation, we'll say 17 is some unknown times 25. But remember that this x is going to give our percentage. So let's see, missing thing in a multiplication problem, x will be 17 divided by 25. So x will be 17/25. Well, we know how to make a fraction into a percent, right? We'll just say 17/25 equals some number over 100. We cross multiply. 17 times 100 is some number times 25. 1700 is some number times 25. So our number is 1700 divided by 25. 25 goes into 1700. Into 17, no, into 176 times, I think. 25 times 6, 30, 12, 15. Yeah, not enough room for another 25. 25 goes into 200, I think 8 times. 40, 16, 20. Our number is 68. And so our answer will be 68%. You may have noticed that this was a little bit more involved than the last two. When you're looking for the percentage, do not forget to answer as a percent. If you find that you regularly forget that, the proportion may be a better bet. Let me give you one of these to try. What is 35% of 2.8? Pause the video and try this now. Okay, so our first move is going to be to make our percent into a number. 35% is 35 hundredths. It looks like making this into a decimal is going to be easiest. 0.35. That makes us happy too because we've got another decimal here, so we only have to do decimal on decimal arithmetic, which is a good thing. Let's see. Looking at this story then, we need to decide, is 2.8 the base or the portion? Percent of 2.8 tells us that 2.8 is the base, which means the portion is what we're looking for. So the portion equals the percent expressed as a number times the base. Okay, now we just need to multiply. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 3 is 24. 28. 2 times 5 is 10. 6, 7. 1, 2, 3 digits after the decimal point. So, what is 35% of 0.8? 0.98 is.